Okay, a few years ago, when Tabika learned and verified with the doctor that she was pregnant, she was shocked. I mean, she was a young adult. She understood, but she and Trey had taken precautions and that they knew of, and she just wasn't on the pill. But they took other precautions. Well, like I said, she was shocked, and she really didn't quite know what to do, how to tell Trey. They are not married, and her parents own a big, huge house that on one side of it live both sets of her grandparents, and her parents on the other side. And she stays in the garage apartment. Now, it's a big garage apartment, and most houses there where she lives, they have garage apartments. And that's quite often what happens when a child becomes an adult and decides, that they want to have their own little place before they move out into the world, in the transition. Also not sure how she's going to tell Trey. Right now they live in a county that's a small county in Texas. It's a big land-wise, but not population-wise. And it's kind of, they're quite a bit sheltered from the outside world. They're secluded, sheltered. They have one other small county near it, to the south of it. But otherwise, they're not, real close to any other place. And they don't really care to be all that into, what goes on in the big city. The big city's like 2-hour drive from the closest part of the county. And, but they like the way that they are. They buy stuff from their own, anything they can from their own, living in the county with all the different towns and people advertise and all that. Whatever they can. And not many people have TVs. TVs for watching, outside news, some like weather or something like that, but really they pay more attention to what's going on in their own county. They have their own social media websites and stuff. But anyway, so she's not so sure overall. And Trey wants to move to the big city. Now she doesn't. She knows she lives a very sheltered life. They both do. But she doesn't want to go. She loves it where she lives, and she has no intention. And now that she knows she's pregnant, she's not going to raise a child in a big city. She wants to raise her any child or children that she has later on, around their parents and grandparents, her parents, and that will be their great-grandparents. And so she's not sure how she's going to tell Trey, because Trey is determined that he wants to move there and, along that line. Okay, and she does, she goes to the doctor's office and she sees the registered nurse there, and they have a conversation about it. She tells the nurse, and the nurse is female, and she tells her, and she doesn't really respond. She kind of, they're very caring and loving there. Most of the people. So she was there for emotional support, but she didn't want to guide her in any other way. But she wasn't thinking about abortion, no. But she just didn't know. She was shocked. So she thought about it on her own, and she didn't tell any of her friends. She didn't tell anybody at first. And she just gave herself time to really think it through, and what she was going to do and how she was going to tell different people. Well, she came up with an idea. She felt like she knew that it probably wasn't the most mature thing to do, but given all the different people, including Trey's mom, that she would be telling, that she would have to tell one by one, and she wasn't sure how any of them were going to take it, given, she was a single woman, and they kind of have a little bit of, old-fashioned values about something like that, old-fashioned views. She really didn't know for certain if they did or not, but she just felt that they might. And as far as Trey, who knows? He's not a violent person, but she would be telling him, basically that he can move by himself because she's not moving to the big city. She'd already told him that. He just kept trying to convince her, and now that she was going to have a child, she, like I said, no way was she going to do that. So she would really be breaking, any thought, that he had, unless he was going to go do it by himself, to move to the big city. And so she decided that what she would do was to have them all meet one another. She'd come up with some, excuse for them all to come together. And luckily it was close to the holidays, and so it was going to be Thanksgiving. And the first holiday was Thanksgiving, so she invited Trey and his mother. And she had not met his mother yet. And everything that Trey said about his mother was so great. And now Trey hadn't met her family either. So this was going to be something quite big for them all to meet. And like I said, she's not going to tell any of them before they had that Thanksgiving dinner. And then she would, they would have it, and she would tell them all. And that way, she felt like she needed emotional support. She really didn't know who would be giving the emotional support and who would not. This was not something that had ever happened in their family that she knew of, and they never really even considered it, discussed it, anything. So she wasn't sure. So then the day came that, Trey told his mother. She had never met his mother, like I said. And Trey told his mother, and there came Thanksgiving, and they decided to meet at, because so many people with the two sets of grandparents and their parents, they decided to meet there. But there was also another reason, and that is because Trey and his mother lived in a part of the county that was not the best part. It was actually the worst part. It was known, its reputation. Towns should not be given reputation to, because that's stereotyping, and not everybody there is a certain way. But at the same time, some people know that some areas are a little bit more dangerous. It can be dangerous anywhere, but still. And her parents held that view of that town, and they didn't want to go there. So, and as far as Trey's mother, she said sure, she'd go to their home. And because, logically with so many people, going, it would be better. So she said fine. And it was okay with her. Okay, now where did I leave off? But anyway, Tabika, she knew it was kind of like the coward's way, to do it. But there was just too many people and too many possible responses, and she wanted, like I said, at least some emotional support with somebody. So that's what she did, and of course, some of them they were all, like she, quite shocked. And, but during the while, for the first time she met her, her boyfriend's mother, one of the things she noticed from the beginning was that when, she met her, she introduced herself as Diva Mom, D-I-V-A-M-O-M, Diva Mom, instead of by her actual name. And she just thought maybe his mother was, kind of funny person and all. But when she really, from the door and walked in, she was quite shocked at how Diva was dressed. She was dressed very, in a way, suggestive, and just like the top part was too much showing. She was showing way too much in her own view, and she had never met anybody like this. She had never met anybody who was quite histrionic, like the histrionic personality disorder. As she learned, she was quite that type. Okay, I couldn't get that to work right. Anyway, and from the start, one of the things that she started doing was right away, she started bragging about herself. And she would brag about just about everything. They'd sit down and, before it was ready, before they went to the table, sit down for a few minutes, and they went to have, the dinner. And she continued to just simply brag about herself or anybody involved with her. She bragged about her husband, and putting little quotation marks around that, being a lawyer. And, there was a big question hanging in the air. The elephant in the room was, where was her husband? And but nobody asked. And she, like I said, she just went on. And things didn't really add up either, because she put on airs like she was very wealthy, but where she actually lived, the people weren't generally wealthy. So now after that, it was the only disaster of it was how Diva was behaving. And when Tabika, told everybody, Trey really didn't say anything. His mother was saying, "Oh, great, now I have a grandchild I can show off." And it was all about her. Okay, what she would gain from having a grandbaby. And but like I said, Trey, he really didn't say anything. He seemed more like, sullen, somber, just kind of within himself. And sure, she had just told everybody, and that, it would have some, some kind of consequence to what he was planning on doing. And, well, there are two people there. And anyway, her parents would invite Diva, and Trey after that, but they wouldn't show up, and her parents really hoped that they wouldn't. Tabika's parents did not like Diva and was not fond of Trey after that. And, that she would say each time Diva would tell him things like, she would, decline and say things like she was waiting for her husband to come home for the holidays. And, and she put off that her husband had to work elsewhere quite a bit. Well, the truth of the matter is Trey had realized, no, it wasn't that he had to work somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, but this year, Diva decided she was going to go to for Thanksgiving at Tabika's, and she decided she would. They were quite shocked. They were not happy with it, but they would see how this was going to turn out and what was going on, that she would suddenly decide, it's been a few years, but suddenly decide, yeah, she would. So stay tuned to find out why.